Good morning, everyone. My name is Maggie. I'll be your sergeant at arms this morning for the meeting. Some house rules. Please can our cell phones be turned off or on silent. This is a non-smoking area. If anybody would like a cigarette, you need to go outside there or outside that side during our breaks. For the ladies, the bathroom is out the door to the right, left, and the men is out the door down towards the kitchen to the right. If you've got to the kitchen, you've gone too far. And that's about it. I hope everybody enjoys our morning, and I have said cell phones. I said it at the beginning. Maybe I'm too soft today. Am I? I went to Cape Town 2 weeks ago and I came back with laryngitis. Maybe it's really altered my voice.
Sorry, Maggie.
It's okay. I hope everybody enjoys the meeting, and I'd like to hand over to our President, Harold Robertson.
Well, I don't have laryngitis, so good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And I can tell you that she doesn't have laryngitis, she's really soft spoken. I knew I forgot something, I forgot my glasses, so I'll ask you to read out something on the program, please do that. Today is our 97th meeting. Welcome. And you may have gathered that there will be 98, 99, 2 meetings, and then we'll have our 100th meeting. And we are planning something special for it. Oh, thank you very much. There we go. My name is Harold Robinson, Club President. For the moment, I'd like to welcome our area governor, who I'm hoping is coming to fire me today. And he doesn't know what to make of that one. Elias. And welcome to all our visitors today from other Toastmasters clubs and to guests, some who've been before and some who have never been here before. Some who've been to other Toastmasters meetings, and I'm hoping that you'll enjoy this one more than you enjoyed the others, but certainly as much as, if not. I'd like us just to introduce ourselves, but we're going to do it a little bit differently, if you will bear with me. I'm going to ask you to find someone next to you. I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes, 3 minutes to talk to each other, and then you're going to introduce each other. So find a partner. So maybe the person next to you, if the person next to you doesn't want to talk to you, then find someone on the other side of the room or whatever you do. And if there's one person who doesn't have a partner, you'll have me as a partner. Right, so I'm going to start the clock and give you 3 minutes just to prepare for that motion. Starting
No, the one that I want out is always about when is it stopping?
I got a son. South Africa from the UK. So that it was part of the UK. England, you know, that's what it's I was born in Lancashire.
One more minute.
Are you just saying it was good? Yeah, Mary, let's go. You're visiting mom. She's like, I need to find her.
Currently, for the past year, writing for media. Now we hold on
Okay, can you wrap up, please? Okay, we ready? I'll get the ball rolling. The first person you met when you walked into the room is Johan. He's a charter member of our club and he's doing registration today. When I say charter member, he has been here since the club was founded. And he's a member of Bryanston Sports Club as well. And he makes sure that this venue is always ready for us. So that's Johan. And Johan's going to introduce me.
I don't know if it's a pleasure introducing you or not. We've known each other since I joined the club, Harold. And I must warn you all, be very careful of Harold, especially if he's evaluating one of your speeches, because he's inclined to make you repeat it. He does that to me though, not to other people. Harold, welcome to the club.
Thank you very much, Johan. Johan calls himself my worst enemy. I always say with enemies like him, who needs friends? Right, we'd like to start. Shall we start with you, Dino?
So I'm going to be introducing Bachle, a Xhosa woman who is kind of in a Xhosa. And she's in an intermediate phase at the moment. She just graduated from environmental science, let's go with that. And she's currently what do you call it when you partake in work for free? Volunteering. Sorry, she's volunteering at the moment for a meat survey. I'm stuffing this up. Maybe I'm not an active listener. Lovely lady, very enthusiastic. Glad to be here. Good luck with my introduction.
Thank you very much. Word is normally pro bono, I believe. For free work.
Okay, my memory is a lot better. I'll be introducing Lino Lupini. He's Italian. He's a mechanical engineer. And he will be the main presenter today. And his topic will be Just Do It. Nothing to do with Nike. And he's a very pleasant fellow, yes.
Morning all. I think I have the easiest introduction. The famous individual. Right?
Next to me, I have Your Excellency, Mr. Amos Chumbe. He's an inspirational, he's warm. There's so much to say about him, but we are privileged to have him here today in our meeting.
Thank you.
Again, another Easter for me. I'm introducing Mvula Amaletu Ngogoma. She is a committed Toastmasters, an advanced speaker of the AC, advanced communicator silver, and advanced leader bronze. Currently, she's pursuing pathways, innovative planning, and she'll be delivering a speech today. She's also looking for a club to join because she transferred from Devon, so she's looking for a club. So you could behave, I don't know. So I'm giving a tip there.
Which club was she in? Which club was she in Durban?
In club, I was in, I actually went to a Viv party and Margie. It was Highway, yes, Highway Toastmasters.
Margie Steve?
Yes.
Harold from
Margie Steve.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what he's asking.
Yes, I came up from Durban quite a while ago.
Oh, okay, wow. Okay.
Who's next?
Yes.
Okay, I've got the honor and pleasure to introduce Adrian. A very interesting gentleman. He's a scientist in physics. So I mean, every single thing that is all around us, which is very interesting. He's from the United Kingdom. He came to South Africa. He was in the United Kingdom, moved to Lancaster after the war. He left there when he was about 8 years old to come to South Africa, a beautiful country. He worked at the Chamber of Mine, joined Wintech, he retired around 2015, and then he had his sequel, come back recently to work at Hatch. He's married, he's got one son with 2 grandsons, and he's been married for the past 7 years, and his wife also has a granddaughter. Thank you.
Wow.
Did Adrian put a CV in front of you?
No, I'd like to introduce Sini Timber. He is very well educated. He's been to a couple of sessions of Toastmasters, so this is very important for us to get him really fired up to join our program. And we do need candidates. And he's a political risk consultant.
Oh.
And he writes a lot as well. And I asked him the question about Cyril Ramaphosa. And, you wonder, are these guys good or bad? Jacob Zuma, we tend to think it's not quite good. But he assures me that Cyril Ramaphosa is a good guy. Thank you.
Hi, good morning everyone. I'm going to introduce Koliswa. She's a lady that is sitting next to me. Koliswa is a member of the Toastmasters and she enjoys coming here. She inspired to be a good speaker in one day.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to introduce Sikogazi. Sikogazi is originally from Cape Town. She is a runner. She participated in multiple marathons. She's a mother and she aspires to be a businesswoman one day. Good morning, everyone. I have the pleasure of introducing Andre this morning. Andre has visited our club before, and Andre used to be a Toastmaster at Dainfern Tigers and has just been taking a break, but is looking to get back into the swing of things and is just sussing out a few clubs to see how it goes. I think yesterday you were at Rivonia. Andre, believe it or not, is dad to 2 teenagers. Saying to him, he almost looks like a teenager himself. And he is an FD, so in the financial industry, and he is looking forward to this meeting, I believe.
Good morning. It is great to be here again after quite a long break. And so I'd like to introduce Kambu, one of your EXCO members, VP membership. He's been a Toastmaster here since April last year. her daytime, she's in market research in the media industry, and outside of those obligations, she does leadership coaching and finds the skills that she's obtaining in Toastmasters here very well transferable into her other obligations, and she's a mom of a beautiful 9-year-old daughter.
Good morning. I think you guys have to welcome me. You have to welcome me. Come on, guys. I would like to introduce Clinton. He's in marketing. He's a marketing director. Yeah. So he joined Toastmasters last year, April, 4th Dimension Toastmasters Club, because of his work that he does a lot of presentation and marketing. So he came today to visit us, but he's going to be doing a speech. Part 2 is part 1. Yeah, somewhere one. But yeah, that's part 2. Oh, he has written part 1. When I look at it. Okay, but yeah, there he goes. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm very happy to be here, actually. I really enjoy coming to this club. I know I don't visit often enough. But I'm introducing Permit Ube, who is actually he has a job which, first time I've met someone that actually does this, which is training guide dogs. And not only does he do that, but it turns out that he's also a celebrity himself. He appears on TV shows, he does a lot of interviews, and he joined Toastmasters 2 years ago specifically to improve his skills within that sphere so that he can be a lot more confident when he speaks and gives those interviews. And it has been quite beneficial to him because he has seen the real benefit in his confidence over the last 2 years.
Thank you.
I'm introducing Mandy. She's a businesswoman. She owns a company. The name of the company is Tech Lab, but that's more just her the trading business. She works with countertops. She designs countertops for people and has them cut in various qualities of quartz, a bit of marble, different things that clients want. She really markets the brands that she sells for as well. She went to Cape Town. She goes to Cape Town once a week, plus minus every 3 months. So she wants to try and get into the Cape Town market and bring more clients from Cape Town, because she says she's done a lot in Johannesburg, so Cape Town's a nice point to go through. She's been married, she's divorced, she's got 2 children, 2 lovely girls. One is 9, the other is 11. So I wish her luck on her Toastmasters journey. Thanks.
Morning, I'm introducing Marion. Marion is a visitor who's come from Melville. So thank you for driving all the way here. She has visited other clubs but is looking for a particular club to become a member of. Marion does counselling, trauma and crisis counselling, and is an artist at heart. She has written a book, an inspirational book, which would like to now take to stage, and she is looking to illustrate a children's book as well. So Marion, when you've done ready to come onto stage, please come and bring your inspirational book to us. I'm sure we would love to all hear it. Thank you.
They say people like to talk about themselves, but I think sometimes it's more comfortable to talk about someone else, judging by the introductions we've had. So well done, everybody. Thank you for that.
Mr. President, we have one more guest.
We have another guest.
Yeah. He just arrived.
Are you going to make me put her on the spot?
Sure.
Only if she's comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's not, but we'll do it anyway. Would you like to just tell us your name and why you are here?
Okay, my name is Andy Swahani. I live in Oronia. I work for the United Nations in Sunning Hill. I'm here because I want to learn more about public speaking. I'm very shy, so I want to feel more comfortable, to talk. Yeah.
I can tell you spoke very well. Shy. Well done for having been put on the spot, but you blanked up. you. We have apologies and program changes. We don't have a VPE. Anybody know about any program changes that we should? I think table topics has changed. Is Mandy doing table topics? So Mandy will be doing table topics, and as far as I can see, that's the only change to the program.
There's another change.
Yes.
The area report. I'm not doing the area.
You're not doing an area report.
Yes, it is a change of doing the area report, but I'm substituting.
Right, okay. And Lynn did tell me that, so I apologize for not pointing it out. Thanks, Elise. Next on the program is the business session, which I run as well. A very short business session today. First of all, Adrian has sent out your invoices for subs. So please dig into your wallets, bank accounts, savings accounts, whatever you need to, and let's get those subs here as soon as possible. And yes, Adrian.
Just a quick one. If anybody didn't get their invoice, I got a copy here, so just grab your invoice if it didn't get to you.
Thank you very much.
It could get lost in the ether, or I made a spelling mistake or something and went to the wrong place.
Okay. Yes, sometimes you think it's lost, but people are just ignoring it. Please don't ignore it. Ignore our invoice.
Went into junk mail.
Junk mail, that's a good one too.
Yes. It has to be in by the end of this month.
Yes.
Time frame.
Preferably before the 20th. Because it gives a chance, gives the club a chance to win a stock voucher of 250 rands if we get our subs in before the 20th. So, if you can, yes please. End of the month is deadline. Next meeting is our competition, 23rd of March. We've had 2 people enter as far as I know, and we would like more people to enter, please. And then we'll be in touch with you for roles and participation, obviously. So be prepared. We want more competitors, please, because there's some very good speakers in the club who we would like to parade in front of us, and we need one of them to represent us at the area competition and hopefully the division competition after that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, our 100th meeting, Adrian has designed a lovely invite for us, which we'll be receiving on email. Please try and make that date if you can, because we're going to have a rather special meeting on that day. A celebration as opposed to this very serious meeting that we're having at the moment. Anything else in the business session that I should mention? Area directors. Okay. Well, that brings my role to an end at the moment. I will see you later when I do the speech. Well, if you haven't left the room by then. Please welcome our Toastmasters today, Dino Rupini. Please welcome Dino. Just be clear.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm going to ask you all a favor, please. You're very, there's the word sparse. Kind of everyone's separated around the room. Can we kind of all go collect up in that end of the room there? I don't like seeing gaps. Make it more close together. Is that okay? Can we just get up? As I come manhandle you into your position, please.
Why don't you like gaps?
Sorry about that. It's
This person want to choose meat now. That's not okay.
lovely. Thank you very much. Sorry for doing that. It's just that I want you guys to feel connected, and some people feel a little bit left out in their corners.
I have to move this heavy thing all by myself.
I'll look after it, don't worry. So good morning everybody, my name is Dino Lupini, and yes, I'm your Toastmaster for the morning. And being the Master of Ceremonies, my role and responsibility is to make sure that the meeting is running on time and it runs smoothly. And another responsibility is to introduce a theme. But before I introduce the theme, I just want to ask a question. Who kind of avoids uncomfortable discussions with their co-workers or subordinates? Those awkward conversations like pay rises, or you kind of didn't pitch up or work on time, this is not really going right. Well, avoiding these difficult discussions kind of leads to a dysfunctional team and a lack of performance. And ultimately leads to a negative team and your company kind of not performing the best they can. And an American study has found that employees spend up to 3 hours a week spending time dealing with conflicting issues. And just within America, that equates to $359 billion. Just to wrap your mind around that, that's South Africa's GDP. The amount of money that South Africa makes goes into, what our country actually makes, is the amount of money America spends on conflicting issues. Just kind of get your mind around that one. So it is really beneficial that we tackle these issues head on. So that's my theme for today, just do it. So the sooner we have these conversations, the better. But before you guys start running off having arguments with your colleagues and creating mishap, complete chaos, I'm going to be providing suggestions and ideas throughout the meeting on how we can actually confront people in a constructive way with skill and empathy. Okay. So, because my theme today was just do it, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking of Nike and their motto, just do it. Well, sorry about that. It's all about handling difficult conversation. So one of the strategies is putting yourself in the other person's shoes. So when approaching somebody and you're going to be having this conversation, think about the factors that are driving their actions. Be curious about the person's situation that they're in. Knowing these viewpoints will be able to help you create a better outcome and deliver the message in a calm manner. Okay. So before we get further into these life-changing advice, we've got some administration issues to deal with. First is, has everybody swapped their manuals? Or tutorials? You can get up now and pass it, have a little whisper in another person's ear if you would like. Okay. We've got an interesting format in our club whereby the person that is presenting a speech we have a presenter and an evaluator. Those two people will be evaluating each other's speech during the evaluation session. Okay.
I'm getting you're doing my one, in fact. Curiosity and patterns. Okay. That's fine.
Okay. You guys happy?
Yeah.
just another formality. Everybody in front of you, there is a voting slip whereby we'll be voting for the best speaker, evaluator, and impromptu speaker. And then just in the top sections, there is space to provide critique or compliments to the speakers throughout the day. It's actually very worthwhile filling in that and actually presenting it to the speaker at the end of the day. It adds a lot of value to the people at the end of the day. Okay, now I would like to invite our various role players to tell us what it will be like in their shoes today and explaining their purpose of their roles. So I would like to start off with the timekeeper, Tambu. Can you tell us your role and responsibilities for today?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. My role this morning is to time speeches and reports, providing feedback on the timings. I will be using this timekeeping device to indicate how far into the speech you are. So for example, let's start with evaluators. Evaluators have 2 to 3 minutes to speak. At the 2-minute mark, I will flash the green light. At 2.5 minutes, the orange light. At 3 minutes, the red light. For table topics, it'll be 1 to 2 minutes. Therefore, I will guide you at 1 minute, 1.5, and 2 minutes. For the prepared speeches, I see there are 3 5 to 7 speeches. For the 5 to 7 minutes, at 5 minutes, I'll flash the green light. At 6 minutes, I'll flash the orange light, and at 7 minutes, I'll flash the red light. For the 8 to 10 minute speech, which is the CC10, at 8 minutes, it will be the green light. At 9 minutes, the orange light, and at 10 minutes, the red light. That will be all for today.
Thank you, Tom. Our next role player will be the evaluation chair. Adrian, please can you tell us your role as evaluation chair?
Okay.
You
caught me by surprise today, I must admit. But I will be conferring with the other evaluators, as I understand. Just nod your head if I'm saying the right things. And then I guess in the different speeches there, we'll be looking at those points that we think you excelled at. And then there are other issues in terms of, we would like to be sort of very polite in suggesting that maybe you could have done things better. And then I think the last little bit is to, even if it was very good, to present some ideas in terms that you could be even better, to try and challenge that person to do something better.
Thank you. So you'll be chairing the evaluation session later on.
Okay. Caught by surprise totally, but never mind.
Don't worry about it. Thank you very much. Our next volunteer that's helping us out this morning is the Table Topics Master, which is Mandy. Mandy, just tell us about your role and responsibility.
Thank you, Dina. I'll be Table Topics Master this morning. The point of Table Topics is to encourage everybody to speak. So I'll be presenting a topic and hopefully finding some volunteers, because I hate picking victims, so please volunteer. It's a 1 to 2 minute speech on a particular topic, and what it helps you to do is to think quickly, think on your feet, speak, encourage you to speak so that we can get you to do a speech and join our club and get you to do a speech if you are a member like me, and just feel comfortable talking. So that will be after the break, so if you guys start thinking that you want to put your hand up when I see you later. Thank you.
Thanks, Mandy. Thank you very much. Now I would like to lead into our R counter. He's going to have a difficult job for me today, counting all my R's. Permit, please can you tell us about your roles and responsibilities?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As an R counter, my job is to listen of all of the speakers and make note of words and sound used as a pause fillers, used too often or repeatedly by anyone speaks during the meeting, such as are, and well, but so, you know, likes, and so forth and so on. The intent is not so much to catch the speakers using filler words, but more to help them be aware of the crutch words that they may be using out of the habits, and that may take away from the impact of their public speaking. So I'm looking forward. I'm already started. Thank you.
Thank you, Permit. And finally, I would like to introduce our grammarian for this morning, Cariswa. Please can you tell us about your role and responsibilities.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good morning, Toastmasters, visitors, and guests. My name is Cariswa. I will be your grammarian today. My role is to listen attentively with the aim of acknowledging the good use or misuse of the English language. The word for the day is execute, which was inspired by today's theme. The meaning of the word execute is to put a plan, order, or cause of action into effect. In a sentence, you would use this word as follows: she or he will execute a great speech today. All speakers are encouraged to use the word of the day. Throughout the meeting, I will keep count of the use of the word execute. Thank you.
Please give a round of applause for our role players. So now I'm entitled to use the word execute throughout. I'm probably going to mess it up once or twice, but anyway, you have to just play along, I guess. That's the whole point of it. So most people hate role play. So an idea for preparing for a difficult argument is to role play. Now, it may seem a little bit not right to prepare for an argument, but if you want a positive outcome, there's a very good idea to prepare the actual discussion. And a suggestion is what is the aha or action item that you want to get out of the discussion? Then role play it with a peer in the office, and then he or she can provide you feedback on how you could say it better or present it to the other person. This will help build skills for your future discussions. Kind of sounds something very familiar with you here at Toastmasters. So now it's time to hear from our prepared speakers. Our first speaker for the morning is Nabula, and she will be presenting from the level 1 Toastmasters tutorial. And our president, Mr. Harold Robinson, will be doing Nabula's evaluation. Harold, can you provide the objectives for Nabula's speech today?
Certainly. Nambula is doing the first speech of level 2. It's called Evaluation and Feedback. The purpose of the project is for her to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. And when she does the second speech, she'll have to come back because she's supposed to get evaluated by the same evaluator. Or she just has to let the evaluator know what feedback she had and show that she applies it. So that's what this assignment is about.
Thank you very much, Harold. Now, Nambula has been practicing her speech until the cows came home. And she's been practicing with her family members. And now family members have told her it's enough. It's enough. Now it's time to do the real thing. Please can you welcome Nambula with her speech titled Animal Fur Relaxer. Animal Fur Relaxer.
Honorable Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and esteemed guests. Animal relaxer for sale. Is your pet suffering from baldness, or is shedding its fur as if it's going through some midlife crisis? As you caress your pet's fur, are there rough areas that need to be softened? Are you an effervescent character and would like to add some flair to your pet's fur? Does your pet have a bashing dandruff? I have the solution for you for all these problems. I have a range of animal products, hair relaxers or fur relaxers, hair growth products, and dyes specifically designed for animals. I was a 13-year-old. I stood behind the stand with a range of my animal products. I was met with big gazes and big gasps as people came to the table to see what I was advertising. I could sense that they thought what I was selling or advertising was below me. On that day, I was met with a question which changed the course of that day. It said, does your products work and have you actually tested it? I didn't have a response to that question. I then embarked on a journey to prove that my products actually worked. I remember that Saturday morning, I woke up feeling rejuvenated. I was about to make history. I took one of my animal relaxers. I applied it on my hair. I applied it on my armpits. I then waited for a couple of minutes. I started to feel excruciating pain. There was vociferous sound coming from the bathroom. Wait, yo, gosh, I'm burning. Ooh, ooh, ooh. My mom came running. What is going on? The damage had already been done. I was left with patches all over my head. I also had sores on my armpits. I remember having to wear a wig on my head when I went to school. I remember in that moment of pain how I thought about the idiom, don't trouble until trouble troubles you, which means don't go looking around for trouble until it comes to you. My parents sat me down and made me promise never to embark on such an experiment again. I had no choice. I had to obey. I responded by saying, yes, I will never embark on this journey. However, at the back of my head, I was thinking, once I have a chance, and once I'm far away from home, I'm definitely going to try it again. History has to be made. Lucky for me, I went to varsity, which was thousands of miles away from home. I carried on exactly where I left off. However, I was still met with the same resentment towards my products. I couldn't understand. I was making history for animals. It was only when my lecturer sat me down, trying to engage me about what was going on. He said to me, God created both man and animals according to his own image. He created them in such a way that they were perfect, requiring no further assistance from the outside world. and even from me. He further told me that innovations are excellent, they are needed for mankind. However, if you find that your innovation is not meeting a specific need, it is still okay to divert, to do something else. He left me with a quote by William Pollard. In that quote, it says, "Innovation and learning go hand in hand. The arrogance of success is to think what you did yesterday will be enough for today." From there, I was motivated again. My innovation flair exasperated. I was set again on making a change and a difference in society. Maybe not with an animal fur relaxer, but definitely with something else. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much for your speech. I've never heard of animal products being tested on humans before. It's a first for everything. So how else do we come about tackling very conflicting discussions? And another idea is by starting a sentence with I. I avoids put-downs, judgment, and blame, which is key to keeping your composure. So, first describe the behavior by using "when I hear you say," then followed by the feelings or thoughts it creates. I feel that. Then note the effects or the behavior that it has on the people. It impacts me like this. So the I statements provide a willingness to find a solution. And it seeks constructive change without conflict. I'm standing here and I would like to try and think of an immediate example, and it's not coming to me. So one would be what just happened earlier with Ines and Harold. So Ines could say to Harold, "Harold, when you say that you want to be fired from your role and responsibilities from being president, it makes me feel that you don't want the job. And it impacts the club by showing that the leader of the club doesn't want to be around. So, please don't do that." Does that help? Does that make it relevant? Hope so. Sorry, Harold.
Gives Harold food for thought.
Put Harold on the spot there. It's the only one that came to my mind. Yo. But anyway, our second speaker is going to be Harold. Harold Robinson. Yo. Okay. Yes, Harold. Sorry. Harold will be doing his speech, his second speech from the Pathways tutorial, and his evaluator is going to be Nvula. Nvula, please can you provide the objectives of Harold's assignment for today?
Mr. Toastmaster, the objectives are as follows. The purpose of this project is for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify his or her primary style. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share the impact of his or her style on others. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So Harold joined Toastmasters due to his shortcomings in communicating with people. there have been improvements, but he's still woefully a poor communicator. Thus, in his next assignment, he is trying to explore whether his learning about different communication styles will go a little way towards making him a better communicator. The title of his talk is In the Foot. Please can you welcome Harold to the front. In the Foot, Harold Robertson.
I will keep to the time of this speech if I see that there is active listening. Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, how did you feel when I said that? A little bit manipulated, perhaps? It's a style of communication that is recognized called manipulative. Another one is passive-aggressive. I'm a master at that, as you heard earlier. Passive-aggressive is saying to someone, I hope you're here to fire me. Other forms or styles of communication that are in the same genre are aggressive. So for example, if I say to you, that's a lousy idea, let's do mine, that's regarded as aggressive. And then you get submissive. Fine, do it your way. Interesting, aggressive is looking at what I want. Passive is, well, whatever you want. Manipulative, in between. We know that politicians are good at manipulation. That's why they are politicians. But there's one that is regarded as what we should try and be, and that's to be assertive. And we heard Dino with a couple of assertive statements that say, I feel this way because of something that you've done. And when you're being assertive, you're being firm, not being passive, you're not being aggressive, but you are looking at the interests of yourself and of the other person. Being a master of passive-aggressive, I recognize this conversation that I'm going to relate to you now. I have, in my consulting business and training business, I have a colleague who's a bit of a competitor. We do very similar things. So if a client is looking for someone to do training, they'll look at me and they'll look at him. And the client approached him one day, let's call him Luke, and said, Luke, we have a training course that we want to run at a certain date. And Luke says, I can't help you. The client says, are you sure? Because I would like to have you, but if you can't, we'll get Harold to do it. And Luke says, oh, I wouldn't get Harold to do it, he doesn't know how to do it. The client says, but Luke, Harold has run things, he's run his own program in the subject. Oh, then you must just use him. So now Luke is having this conversation, and I'm sure you recognize the passive-aggressive nature of his response. And this is what I call Luke shooting himself in the foot, because it's not coming across very well. In the Toastmasters manual, they have a different, in the Toastmasters Pathways program, they have a slightly different definition of different styles. So they talk about direct communication, supportive, initiating, and analytical. Now if you look at those four, I can't, like the other five that I mentioned, assertive is clearly the one that you want to go for. But if you look at these four, direct, analytical, supporting and initiating, I can't say that one needs to go for one or the other, but it seems to me that you need a mix of it. And when I did the assessment on pathways, I got almost all direct and analytical applied to me, and almost no supportive and initiating. And that tells me something, because I can understand that you need a little bit of all those communication styles, but I'm very strong just on two of them, so I need to do things on the other two. And just to demonstrate how my direct style does affect people sometimes, after that I heard about Luke's discussion and how he shot himself in the foot. I went home and I said to my wife Carol, without any warning, I said to her, Luke shot himself. Before I could say in the foot, she says, oh my God. So clearly I needed to give us some context before I just started making the statement. And we still laugh about it afterwards, but I gave her quite a shock without realizing. So we do need to use different communication styles. In conclusion, let me say that there's a lot of writing on communication styles. If you go on Google, you can just boggle the mind. I'm quite interested that Toastmasters, ones that they've defined, are different from what I've seen, common ones that are written about, but they are still good ones to follow. We need to be sure that in the right situation, we use the right communication when we can. And I think part of what Dino said, we prepare for it and role play, helps in that fashion. Because if you don't use the right communication style, you could end up shooting yourself in the foot.
Thank you, Harold, for that informative speech and a good little chuckle at the end there. My wife always says the difference between humans and animals is context. So, something to think about. So, another system that we can use to help us out with difficult conversation is to provide the news as kind of a sandwich, and they call it a bad news sandwich, which means you kind of have good positive praise as the bun either side, and right in the middle, the meat. That's where the crux of the matter, the heartful idea comes in. And this method allows you to share good news with your person, with the individual, whilst kind of diverting the conflicting issue. And that's another kind of skill set that we use here in Toastmasters. So, our third speaker for the morning is Clinton. Now Clinton will be doing his second speech from the Pathways second speech level 2. Thank you. The second speech from level 3 on the Pathways tutorial, and Adrian will be his evaluator. Adrian, can you please provide the objectives for Clinton's speech?
Mr. Toastmaster, I feel very embarrassed because I haven't a clue what those things are. So can I ask somebody, has somebody got the things in writing that I can read out? On your phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
example
Oh,
of
purpose
the
statement, okay.
bad news sandwich.
Okay, the purpose statement. Thanks, Clinton. I don't feel so embarrassed now, because we do help each other in Toastmasters. Because this, you realise this is the very first evaluation I'm doing, even though I've got the CC10, so that's very special for me. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using a story within a speech, or giving a speech that is a story. So it's all about storytelling.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Good job. So, Clinton. Okay, thank you. Clinton is a frequent visitor to our Toastmasters Club and has given us some entertaining and colourful speeches in the past. But today's topic is a little bit soft and romantic for my liking. But due to the fact that he's proven himself in the past, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. So please can we welcome Clinton to the front with his speech titled Young Love. Clinton, please come to the front. So Young Love, Clinton.
Mr. Toastmaster, just before I begin, this is part one, as it says on the agenda. So I'm going to be giving you part one of Young Love, which, yes, I admit is a soppy topic for today. If you want to listen to part two, you'll need to come to our club, Fourth Dimension, in 2 weeks' time. I'm VP PR of marketing at Fourth Dimension, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, guests and visitors, I want you to think of a time in your life where you had to defy all odds and take a leap into the unknown. That time where you had to put it all in the line. There are times in our lives where we have to defy all odds against us, and those are the times that actually solidify our character. And that time for me was in 1999. I was in grade 9, I was a young kid at 14 years old, and I stood there in front of hundreds of people, and I could feel their judgmental eyes staring back at me. I took a deep breath. This was my moment. This was the moment that would carve my identity. Like many boys my age, I've been searching. I've been searching for the secret. The edge, so to speak, that all the popular boys had. The charm, the charisma, the confidence. It was that edge that separated the popular boys from the rest of us. And I stood in the rest of us camp. I wasn't the popular kid. And I needed that edge. And I needed it quickly. Not only that, but I had a chip on my shoulder. And I had a chip on my shoulder because of Daniel. Daniel was my arch nemesis. But that wasn't always the case. You see, Daniel and I grew up as best friends. And we had been best friends from the time we were 6 years old. And we used to do everything together. We'd spend weekends together playing football, both on the field as well as on the PlayStation. We'd listen to the same music. Hell, we even had the same haircuts. But everything changed a year earlier, pretty much once we got to high school. And it happened so quickly that you could have blinked and you would have missed it. Her name was Melanie. And Melanie had just been transferred from a nearby school. And Melanie was perfect. She was tall, slender, long brown hair, big beautiful green eyes that would light up any room. And Daniel and I, we were sitting outside the school while Melanie was dropped off by her mom. I'll reenact this for you because the first time I saw her, just like the world stopped spinning for that instant. Literally as soon as she got out of the car, my jaw just dropped. And she walked towards us, and as she walked by, She looked at both Daniel and myself, and she smiled. A beautiful smile. And in that instant, Daniel, my best friend, my brother from another mother, fell in love with Melanie at the same time as I did. It was from that moment on that we instinctively knew that our friendship would never be the same again. And so the games began, as you can imagine. We would speak in class just for the sake of it, often nonsensical, just so that she would pay attention to us. We'd walk past each other in the corridors, try to trip each other up. Because, you know, we were playing games and pranks against each other. But what we didn't realize, in our young and naive ways, was that Melanie wasn't looking for the class clown. You see, Melanie was a refined lady. Melanie was a refined lady. She loved the theatre. She loved to act. She loved classical music. But we were youngsters. We had no idea, you know? So one day, while the headmaster was addressing us at assembly, as he normally did on a Monday morning, I was sitting there, kind of bored out of my mind, and he said something because he started talking about an upcoming school play, and then all of a sudden I paid attention. And the reason I paid attention was because this play, which was coming up, had a main female character that was going to be played by none other than Melanie. The play, Romeo and Juliet, the classic love story written by William Shakespeare about two young lovers. Now I was 14 years old. I didn't care about Romeo and Juliet. I had no idea who the hell William Shakespeare was, and I certainly didn't know how to act because I was an introvert, as I still am. But all I could picture at that moment was me on stage with the love of my life, Melanie, because I knew if I could do that and I could spend time around Melanie, then I would get her to fall in love with me. I'd be the Romeo and she'd be the Juliet. Obviously, it would be a love story made in heaven. Unfortunately for me, Daniel was thinking about the exact same thing. So I did what I knew best. And I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced. And I practiced so much, but I made sure that the word didn't get out about how much effort I was putting into getting into being part of that role. Because I didn't want to getting back to Daniel. But unfortunately, I practiced so much that my grades began to suffer. But you know what I said to myself? I'd look at myself in the mirror and I'd say to myself, if you want something great in life, then you need to go after it. And if that means making sacrifices, which means that your grades in maths go from a C to a D, well then hell, I'm going to make that sacrifice. 2 weeks before the trials to get into the main part, tragedy struck. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much for that speech. So, Wings Part 2?
Wait, 20th of March.
20th of March. Write it down.
Where?
Write it down the road.
Fourth dimension.
Fourth dimension. Well, that was enjoyable. So, as children, within high school, there was a game that we started playing also, and it was called Shotgun.
Yeah.
So pretty much, if you're wearing shoes and you see what you want, you call Shotgun, it's yours.
Yeah.
So if you just did that, you didn't have to drop your math grades or anything. Shotgun.
Shotgun. Should have thought of that.
Yeah. So, technique number 3. Be confident. Be confident with silence. There are moments in there's moments in conversations where silence occurs. Don't rush to fill in words. Just like the pause in between musical notes. you appreciate the music. So the periodic silence in conversations allows us to hear what is said and let the message sink in. So just take a breather, listen to what the person's saying, and allow them to have that moment to think of their response. Our fourth speaker for the morning is Adrian Hyde. He will be doing his CC10 speech today, which is the final project in the Competent Communicator Manual. This is a truly amazing achievement. And Clinton is going to be doing his evaluation. Clinton, do you give his
Unfortunately,
objectives?
Adrian doesn't have his manual, but I'll be listening for positives within the speech and areas for improvement. And it's 8 to 10 minutes. Good luck, Adrian.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Let me just say the objectives.
Oh, you got the.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
So, Alfred, you'll be delivering a CC10, which is motivating your audience. Deliver a speech 8 to 10 minutes that motivates your audience, and make sure that what you say inspires them, and your message should be able to pull your audience in your speech. Use stories to reinforce your message. Okay.
So Adrian is our club's treasurer, crazy scientist and talkative professor. I'm just so glad that I'm able to experience his final CCs, and because his speeches are generally entertaining, insightful, and filled with worldly knowledge. I'm sure that he won't disappoint us today. So please welcome Adrian to the front with his speech titled Curiosity, a Catalyst for Creativity. Curiosity, a catalyst for creativity. Adrian Hunt. Thank you.
Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Curiosity, a catalyst for creativity. And I thought that was going to be pretty straightforward in terms of actually giving a speech. And then I remembered a proverb: curiosity killed the cat. And then I was thinking, well, okay, we've got to be careful if we want to be creative, because there are things like ethics and being nice to each other that comes into the picture. And so the way I thought about going about this is to talk about two very creative people. They were both Nobel Prize winners. And the one, there's a picture of him, and he was a German Jew, and he won a Nobel Prize for chemistry. That was in 1918. But all the things that he did were not that good. Now, in 1914, the First World War, you just picture the scene there. There's the Allied forces in trenches. There's the German forces in trenches. The shells were going across the trenches. People hit by those shells were immediately evaporated. The shock waves from those shells cut the people to pieces. So it was a very horrific type of situation to be in. And there are different ways of fighting. And our friend Fritz was very, very, very pro-German, wanting Germany to win the war at all costs. Being a chemist, he decided a good way of killing people was through the use of chemical And he was the guy who invented chlorine gas as a means of annihilating people. So, picture that scene. And now, picture Fritz, with a nice fur coat on, with his pince nez sort of glasses on his nose there, looking very sort of proud and pompous there. And he was looking at the scene here. And in front of them were 6,000 barrels of chlorine gas. And he stood there, he waited. Battle was still going on in terms of people getting killed. You can just picture, soldiers getting shot. You see there's bodies in the pits filled with water moving around. Absolutely horrific. But there was Herbert waiting for his moment. The wind started to change, going in the right direction towards the Allied troops. He gave the signal. God, kill the English! And they opened up the valves, and 70 tons of chlorine gas started to wave, a sort of bluish green type colour over the trenches of the Allied people. And you can imagine those sort of needles of that sort of chlorine getting into the pores of the guy's lungs, the alveoli, everything getting destroyed, blood tissue, everything getting destroyed. You think of the horror of it all. And then you think back, why do people do these kind of things? And I was thinking, when I was a youngster, I remember having chemistry lessons. Did everybody have chemistry lessons where the teacher threw a bit of potassium into water? Wow, that's great. So we get excited about a bit of action like that. And I remember my own two boys as well. They loved fireworks. I can remember them putting fireworks into tin cans to blow up pot-down prawns. And I think of all the stuff we see on TV, a lot of horrific stuff that we see on TV. How many of you sort of play games where you're actually shooting at people and everything else there? So, was this guy a good guy or not? No, he effectively said hell to there was a convention about what's right and wrong in warfare. Anyway, the great thing about this guy was that he was a very positive side about him. Do you realize that a third of the food that you eat comes from stuff that's been treated with synthetic fertilizers? And he was the guy who invented the process for doing that, so there's a good side to this guy. And then sort of moving on to another situation with Bryanston is another hero of mine who condoned the building of a bomb. But one of the things I loved about Albert Einstein is his curiosity, trying to understand what makes things tick. Now remember his great equation, E equals mc squared, that tells so much, basically the secret as to why a bomb, an atomic bomb can make such a round there. And he had one beautiful equation there. E equals mc squared. You all know that equation, I'm pretty sure you've heard of it. So there were some good things about that, but his passion for writing down equations. And I think if one wants to be creative, one's got to write things down. One's got to scribble equations down if you're like me. One's got to try computer simulations if you're like me to try and what makes something tick. And Einstein came with his general theory of relativity, which said that if you've got a full moon sitting, what's the word I'm looking for? The eclipse of the sun by the moon. And if you can see a star behind it, if it's a full eclipse and you can see a star, he said, mass distorts space. And that light coming from that star will be bent by 33 seconds of arc. Very little. So this got all the astronomers around to find out is this true? Is this really true? This wonderful theory that Einstein has got. And Arthur Eddington was the guy who proved it was right. So that was a major breakthrough. The curiosity that was involved there. Another very great curiosity is my friend Stephen Hawking. He never got a Nobel Prize. Do you know why? Well, I'll tell you. To get a Nobel Prize, if you come up with an equation like that, a beautiful equation that he wanted to be put on his gravestone, it's all about black holes. Now he predicted that a black hole has a finite lifetime, which could be billions of years. Now there's a bit of a problem there in trying to predict whether they're going to die or not. They're not going to be around, most of us are not going to be around for the next 2 billion years, by which time, you know, the sun would have gobbled up our planet Earth. So there's a few problems there. But I love this idea of the equations. And in my own work now, I have this passion for computer modeling and simulation of mineral processing operations. And I've come up with my own little equation, which tells you all about if you've got rocks and you want to get the valuable minerals. And I can see everybody here has got something that comes from a mining, I'm pretty sure from a mining operation in one form or another. And since I've joined Hatch, I've had this wonderful opportunity. I'm now involved with a project where we're trying to get rutile and garnet out of a particular ore. And garnets, ladies know all about garnets, I'm pretty sure, but they are one form of gemstone. And the bigger they are, the better. And the other one is rutile, which is a source of titanium metal. So I've got this equation that explains it all. And now I'm seeing this wonderful data coming through where they've used scanning electron microscopes. You can look at individual particles, you can see how much is liberated, how much is there, what's the deportment of the mineral amongst all the different size classes there. So I'm excited. So I'd actually like to end there, but stress again the importance. If you have that curiosity, you've got to do things about it. You've got to actually put things down on paper. You've got to explore. You've got to get your mind thinking, all the things that you can do to try and understand what makes that process, or whatever it is, tick and get people excited. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Adrian. Curiosity is an amazing quality to have within you, within a person. It helps if you have that when going into conversations, and it can really help out you from, prevent you from kind of saying the wrong things. But thank you for that, and I do believe that only once a thought is written down, actions taken on it, can you actually celebrate or actually say, this is quite amazing. Because if a thought is only as good as the action that is followed. So, I would like to just follow up with the timekeeper's report of the different speeches. Cameron, just provide that for us, please.
Mr. Toastmaster, Nomvula Gamaletu's speech was 6 minutes 5 seconds. Harold's speech was 6 minutes 25 seconds. Clinton's speech was 6 minutes 20 seconds. And Adrian's speech was 9 minutes 52 seconds. So everyone executed their speeches within the time.
Oh, well done. Thank you. So, there's a piece of paper in front of you. If you can just fill in your best speaker for the morning, that would be great. And whilst you're busy doing that, I would like to give my last or second last idea for handling specific issues in the workplace. So just some food for thought. No one likes to be confronted, but most people appreciate it. Most people appreciate being helped. So engage the conversation to help the individual. Your intent will come from a better place. Have an opening that portrays the intent, and then commit to being fully present and helpful throughout the dialogue. So an acronym would be to have grit. So just to have grit within a communication means to have generosity, respect, integrity, and present the truth to the person up front. So, has everybody done your vote? So guys, I would like to just have a break so that the evaluators and the speakers can have a quick little discussion, and then we can come back for our table topic session. How long should our break be? Round about?
Normally 20 minutes.
20 minutes, is that fine?
So we would be back at 11.
Can we say rather we come back at 11 o'clock? Is that fine? Okay guys, I'll see you back at 11 o'clock. Meeting adjourned. For the session.
He was going to be very shocked because he was only halfway through.
Oh, sorry. Fritz. Oh, Fritz, no, thank you.
Great.
In terms of what you're doing, considering with science, that's the thing, it's a tool.
The thing I didn't say as well, he started it all, and there was this invention of right advantage in war, and 3 months later, yes, I was calling it back to the
I always hear that, in terms of historians. As much as after the Charles, the acting powers of Charles, but what the allies themselves had done.
Yes, there was just there was a kind of a sad story. He was happily married for a while, but his lifestyle is beautiful. It's the opposite we found. Einstein was got his Nobel Prize. Nothing to do with science.
I remember it sounded like I was on the
But he was the secretary to letter to President Roosevelt. But I think he always struggled
Considering the things that we keep on as human beings, reaching the responsibilities that we have with the technologies and the non-people and have, as it is now, the opportunities and how what we do in terms of opportunities in biochemistry.
yeah, that's cover up what it does.
straight up, you don't have to be right. Depending on the
No,
type.
I want to know more because I mean, I'm coming back a bit later.
Yeah.
Very shy now.
6.
I also want to speak to I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
I thought it was something to look at.
Giving advice.
You don't have to. Yeah, it's
I should be breathing now, keep it quiet, stop talking. Okay, I'm stopping to talk. I'm silent now. I just have a
It's easy. We're getting lots of volunteers.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's good.
What's that lady's name?
You don't have to. You're not
You love your enthusiasm.
Oh, okay. What's his name? Okay, I'll double check when he gets back because I write it down.
Well, I just 2 weeks ago. Harold was doing. What are you saying? I can't hear you.
So you turn back. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's
No. I did.
In front of everybody. I'll be honest, genuine, I told the truth. It's fine. It's genuine. I have to be genuine.
So then I can affect the area director. Now, Yeah, then from there, also well, normally glues the screws outside. Some areas I would have a lot of areas more interest. Okay, well, you don't have to stand. I'm from Zim. Okay. Okay. Good, good. Yeah. So where are you from? So you're around the side? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I'm from Goa. Well, I'm what is that? Yeah, getting there. No, I work here, but I travel, probably travel more like
This is fashionable. Next time.
Yeah, sometimes 4 times a year. Maybe sometimes more than that. Yeah. Depending on my work.
I don't want to
Because sometimes what happens is I travel, so I go around the country. And when I come back, it takes me like 1 week. I'm a guy who is Scottish.
That's very nice.
I said your
It should be, eh?
It's a long story, yeah. But it's a lot of fun. When I heard about these buckets, I practiced about 30 years ago. I was still young.
Yeah, exactly. Everything about this.
Actually, years ago, my manager was on TV and I spoke about all the instructors. And I'm one of the 8 black African qualified instructor. So we have 2 guys here. This guy is the 8th black African guy of instructor from Zimbabwe. Was that really necessary? You said yes.
Oh, you need the people from our region.
Yeah, but most of the time our shows, you can see me on TV. Most of the time, I just finished another demonstration last week. So I think it's going to be a 10 minutes. Yeah. I got If they are happy, then you know when you go out there, you will do well. You know, and then recently I'm not more involved. You know, I'm joining the sometimes it was also a helping community. So, and they're doing all these talks. So I'm writing sort of an article for South Korea.
And for that reason I wanted to. And I went one that's Irish. Anyway, I went to another one I enjoyed it, but I don't think although they were great.
You know, we Canada, so we got like a bit for example, one of the
hockey and then
solids just Wednesday evening, half midway through the week. When you can do it any time of the week.
I go to
yes, this is my film.
yeah, when I events. It's not going next week because we've got a contest, so I'll be one of the yeah. So, but like you say, it's still also a full day, and the session that we start at 7. 9. So now, when are you, what day is it?
So we are alternating
Yeah, I'm sad. How come you eating so late? You're having lunch.
Everybody else, thank you, Stephanie. Your Wednesdays are great. I'm sick with your Wednesdays.
Why did you actually do that?
No, but I need to.
Andre, you still
I'm on this now. I know. I know.
Because actually,
you know,
Yes and no.
No, but I need to hear your story. The rest of your life.
What if my teacher needs to help too?
Let's see if it works.
We still use that curriculum to teach.
Tell them the teacher's talking nonsense.
Is everybody back in the room? Did you enjoy your conversation, guys? They're still enjoying it? Okay, Clint. So, hope you enjoyed those conversations earlier. I would like to call up our table topics master, Mandy. She'll be leading us within the table topics session. Please welcome Mandy.
Morning again, everybody, and thank you for all the volunteers during the break. I appreciate that. I've gone back to basics with our table topics. So I've used Clinton's breakfast bag, and I randomly went onto Google, and I went onto random word generator, and it threw out 10 words at me, and I wrote them down with my very untidy handwriting and placed them in the bag. And I have now got everybody on my list, and basically it'll come up pick the paper out the bag and speak 1 to 2 minutes on that particular word. So you can do whatever you like with it. So our first speaker is Inyas, because he told me that if I want him to speak, he has to do words. So please help me once
I picked two.
No, one. Right. 1 to 2 minutes. Thank you.
The word is climate. The word is climate. The climate of this world is changing. There is global warming that is affecting us. There's been a call to change the gas emissions, or the industries are affecting our climate. And it is said in the next 100 years or so, there's going to be global warming. And the global warming will affect us as human beings. And because of that, the buzzword now is going green. Looking at how we can cut the consumption of fuel, of petrol that we emit every time that we're driving, so that we can save the Mother Earth. We have the responsibility to ensure that the next generation will be able to live in a better place, will be able to enjoy the Mother Earth. But then if we are not careful, we'll destroy not only the Mother Earth, but the future generation also will be affected. So it is therefore imperative, it is therefore important that we get those initiatives, execute, and make sure that we leave this world a better place. Over to you.
And yes, you should be a political speaker. Our next speaker is our visitor, Sinitemba. Have I said that right? Please help me welcome Sinitemba.
The word is lion. Very happy to choose that word because the lion is my favorite animal in the animal kingdom. Ever since I grew up, I used to love animals. I used to love watching Animal Planet. I used to love the lion, the king of the jungle with its mane, looking also fierce and powerful. One of my favorite movies in the world is obviously The Lion King, although it does not really portray what really happens in the animal world. It would be very weird if it did, because Nala and Simba would be brother and sister, and that's not something good. Yeah. I just spoiled the movie for all of you, which is like what I like to do. Lions are pretty interesting creatures in terms of how they live together. Obviously, we know that the lion is usually, we have the male who is basically kind of like a pimp of the animal. It's weird because he's got a couple of ladies who are his harem or something like that. And he does nothing. The women go out there to hunt and bring back all the meat, and then he takes the bigger cake. It's actually kind of interesting, as I think was said earlier by our Toastmaster, in terms of how animals and humans, the difference is really in context, and maybe that's how the similarities between humans and lions. The other thing that's interesting about lions, which is shows you the dark side of the animal kingdom. Is when a new lion, a challenger, comes up to take over the old lion. It's very one of the most horrible things about nature, which you see, is that once it defeats the original male lion, it basically kills every single cub that's out there. So again, to spoil your memories about Lion King, it means Simba kills all the children of Scar. Takes over. Those are the interesting things about lions. That's what I really like to do when I watch my cartoons, especially which are animal cartoons, but they also about the animal kingdom. And I really wonder how they would be if they were real animals. And that is my speech about lions. Thank you very much.
Lion King with the children and I'm crying excessively and they ask why, I will not be telling you. Our next speaker is Andre. Please help me welcome Andre.
Madam Topicsmaster, ladies and gentlemen, why is it that the easiest words almost becomes the most difficult to talk about? Something as necessary as water. We can't live without it. But to explain the essence of it and the necessity to us as a people, and you take a moment and you think about it, water is more than just our life source. It is also for us a picture of transparency, a call for us as people to be transparent about who we really are as a person, as Homo sapiens, human beings. We share that, but as individuals, we are unique in our creation. And when I think of water and that transparency, I think of that call for us to be who we are as a person, and not what society or our parents or any other influential person in your life demands of you or asks of you to be acceptable. But to be true to who we are, to who I am, to put the masks away, to break down those facades we build up, and just be transparent. That's water. And that's our life source. Let me stop his
Thank you, Andre. You've taken the word water and put it into a wonderful context. Thank you. Our next speaker is Marion, our visitor. Please help me welcome Marion. Really nice ones.
How does one execute the word apple and talk about apples? Well, apples come in different colors, there are over, I think, about 600 different types of apples found in the world. Which is your favorite? Do you like the Granny Smith, the green one? Or do you like the red one? I used to love the Golden Delicious. my grandmother's name was Granny Smith, so Granny Smith was also something that we used to talk about as a family. And when Granny Smiths came, then we thought of Granny. Although Granny Smiths are too sour for me. My son loves them, and he always says, don't get the yellow ones, get the green ones. They grow on trees, and some of them are farmed, and apples come from many parts of the world. A lot of them are stored for long periods of time. They're sprayed with certain chemicals to keep them for longer, so that we've got apples all around the world, all around the year. So apples are a wonderful fruit. Many people love them and eat a lot of them. They're used in, you can make apple cider out of them, beautiful lemon apple tarts filled with cream, a lovely Sunday afternoon treat, something that people love and look forward to drinking tea and having a slice of apple tart, apple cake. Many different uses for them. Apple juice. Apples are used a lot in different juices to give them bulk, because you don't want strawberry juice only, because that would cost a fortune. So they put a bit of some apple juice in it to make it larger and more sellable and more tasty as well. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Not an easy topic to talk about yet. One of the first words we learn in school on that lovely chart is A is for apple, B is for bull. So well done, Marion. Our next speaker is Johan. Ah, please help me welcome you. I was looking at the back. You fall down, it's over, then the speech is over.
Yeah.
Sambo, you got that? Got it, okay.
Well, one of the first things we were asked to do this morning was to make sure our cell phones are switched off. To me, a cell phone is both a curse and a necessity. If I need to get hold of my daughter in an event of emergency, I just have to WhatsApp her on my cell phone, and hopefully she'll respond. But what's so annoying when you're in a restaurant or somewhere and people are trying to outdo each other with their conversations on their cell phones. That is just so annoying. The other thing which is annoying, walking down the street and here's a young person going click, 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 and doesn't matter if you're in the way, he or she will walk right over you. So what are we going to do about cell phones? The traffic authorities already fining people for talking on their cell phones while they are driving. I think maybe they should do the same sort of thing, fine pedestrians walking around chatting or doing their sums or whatever they do on cell phones. I am still a member of the older generation. I'm learning how to use the sundial. I can basically have an idea how to use my cell phone, but I'm not a fundi on it yet. Madam Topic Master.
Say that we will eventually go back into the dark ages because our cell phones have really overtaken so many parts of our lives, and it will eventually just be too much information for our brains to handle. You'll keep us posted on that, Adrian. Our next speaker is Leah, have I said that right? Oh. Okay, please help me.
Okay, so today I'll be speaking about, my topic is a bath. Oh, sorry, I didn't greet you. Morning, Florid, Large, and topic, Madam Topic Speaker. The bath, it's quite an interesting topic. I was not expecting that. But one of the earliest things that I can think of that comes to my mind when you think about the bath is about, I think it was very bad with years, but the early let's say maybe close to the Industrial Revolution, when people would have one single bath and the whole family would wash in that bath. And I think it's the term came from that, about how don't throw the baby out with the bath. And I was always amazed about how can people go so many months without washing, and how they would only wash around, they'd schedule their weddings so that they could get married around May when they still smelled good. So I thought it was quite an interesting story, and to learn that that's when actually women started to carry bouquets at their weddings so that it could mask the smell. Somebody who loves baths, and I'll take 3 if I can in a day. But we need to save water, and I am an environmentalist. I love water, so I try to cut down on that. But I love baths. It's something that can be very relaxing, something that can, with you very tense, a lot of stress that you're holding on to. Those are the kind of things that can let you relax and feel good. So I really do love those. And something that's, baths are great. We love baths. So yes, I just thought there was an interesting story to share with you. Something else that I do love about baths. Okay. So I can carry. Okay. Yes, baths. So I'm actually from Port Alfred, which is near Bathurst, which is interesting because it's got bath in the word. Yeah. It doesn't have a lot of baths around there, but yeah. Thank you.
I think in this case the topic picked the person because you know quite a bit about baths actually, and I learned, and I think Dino's going to go and Google 1 or 2 of those stories because he was quite amazed.
The one fact I know that's not true, the Industrial Revolution was not in the 19th century.
Oh, okay, yeah. But she was unsure about that too. But the rest you're going to go, I know. Okay, please help me welcome Clinton. I was very fair. There's more than topics inside here. You don't get left with luck. Almost the last one.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, again, Madam Topics Master. So, the word that I was given is actually apt. It's opportunity. We're all born, come out crying from our mothers, from our mother. I'm not going to go into the gory details, so that we all come out from our mother, and we all have equal opportunity in our lives. Also, I think some people do come into this world, unfortunately, not with an equal opportunity. But I think once you reach an adult stage and you're able to think on your own 2 feet, you start realizing that opportunity in your life is what you make it. I think that we all have unlimited potential within us, as Les Brown would say, one of the greatest speakers in the world. That we all have greatness within us. And when you start realizing that, it doesn't matter whether you're 18 years old or whether you're 80 years old. The opportunity lies within you to change your life and make it what you want it to be. So once you realize that, and you realize that there's nothing in this world that you cannot achieve, if you put your mind to it, then life becomes limitless. And another mentor of mine, Tom Biddew, where he believes that we all, I don't know if you all remember the movie The Matrix. So The Matrix is about essentially just a normal human being. And all he does is he taps into the potential within himself. So he believes that The Matrix is actually a true story about human potential. And once you realize that, then your life can take on a whole different meaning. Thank you.
Thank you, Clinton. Definitely, as you get older, you have the power to find the opportunities and take them. Our last speaker is Tambo, and I'm going to ask Mr. President if he'll be the timekeeper while Tambo comes and is our last table topics for the morning.
Thank you, Madam. Table topics. Not back to the mistress. My day job, market research. It's my role, it's what I owe the company, is to bring in the voice of the customer. Because imagine trying to navigate a vehicle or a car in simple terms, made of metal all around, no windows, you can't see the road, you can't see if there are pedestrians, you don't know if there are any rules to the road. It's kind of like that when a business tries to run without knowing what the customer wants, because what are you providing them? So my word for today is customer. What does the customer mean? And this is a discussion that we have almost on a daily basis. Because some would tell you, never mind the customer. I know what I want to give them. And I know what I can afford to give them and what's going to save me money, and according to my KPIs, this is what I should give them. And another one will tell you, but wait a minute, if you fail to answer the objectives or the desires or the needs that the customer does have, you can forget meeting any KPIs, you can forget any bonuses. It doesn't matter how wonderful your idea is, but if the customer doesn't feel that it fits within their lifestyle, it makes no difference. So the customer, in my opinion, is the biggest stakeholder and mental shareholder of every organization that is, not really the people that we pay dividends to.
Cash is king, but certainly the customer's cash is king. So I do agree with you. Right. Madam Timekeeper, can we have the times, please?
Aeneas, Shingba, you can tell the real masters, by the way. 2 minutes on the dot. Not a second below, not a second after. Sinetemba, 2 minutes 30 seconds. Andre, also 2 minutes on the dot. Marion, 1 minute 30 seconds. Yoan, 1 minute 40. Bahle, 1 minute 58. Clinton, 1 minute 55, and myself, 2 minutes 10 seconds.
Thank you very much. Right. Thank you to all our speakers for volunteering and for speaking. It really does add a lot of humour, and it helps all of us to think on our feet and to do table topics next time round. You've got your voting slips in front of you. Please can you vote for the best table topics? I'll run through the speakers again. Our first speaker was Inyas, who spoke about the climate. Our second was Sunny Temba, who spoke about the lion. Andre, who spoke about water. Marian, who spoke about apples. Johan, who spoke about the cell phone. Bachle, who educated us about the bath. Clinton, opportunity, and Tambu, the customer. I'll come round and collect the voting slips, and that rounds up my table topic session for the morning. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks very much, Mandy. That was a very entertaining table topic session.
Thank you. I've delegated my duty to him.
Yeah, excellent. It's amazing how
Delegation.
you did really, really well today. Eh?
With the delegation.
Typed in your cell phone, got some ideas, done. So thank you for picking up and running with that. Excellent. So I would like to provide just one more idea of how to combat conflict. And you must actually understand how to approach somebody. So a lot of people struggle on how do they start this conversation? How do you start this conversation if it's going to be hectic and intense? And the best way is the direct approach. So, Adrian, I have a problem with the invoice you sent me, so can we just discuss it a little bit later?
Sorry,
It's an example, don't worry. So, being upfront is being authentic and being respectful. So, because no one really likes to have that chat. Come to my office for that chat. So, as long as you are respectful to the person and you say in a light-hearted way, the example will come across to them. So, now it's time for the evaluation session. So I would like to call upon Adrian Hein, who will be leading the session for us. Adrian, please come to the front. Please can we just welcome Adrian Hein.
Right, fellow Toastmasters, Mr. Toastmaster, did you enjoy the session today?
Yes, I did.
I think we had a lot of fun. I certainly had a lot of fun. I mean, sort of just quickly going through the things that sort of stood out for me before we get the individual going. Just the animal fur relaxer. I was just thinking, when I go in the bathroom, now whenever I do that to try and scrub my armpits, I think it's a story there. And then in the foot, there was a lot of philosophy behind that one. I enjoyed that one, which got me thinking there. And then young love. I could just picture Clinton there, looking just like Romeo. When I was doing his evaluation, I couldn't help ask the question, you've got a ring on your hand, would that happen to be Melanie? No. And then, I can't talk about myself, can I? So, let me ask Harold to come up to do the evaluation for animal fur relaxer and umbrella.
Mr. Evaluation Chair, ladies and gentlemen, and especially Nomvula, thank you very much for that speech. How well you executing your idea of your innovation and almost executing yourself with the
Wow.
with trying it out. That was a great story, nice anecdotes, nice quotes, all within context, great flow, and told with such enthusiasm and humor. And because you were so enthusiastic, it just resulted in good vocal variety. So you were really in the story, which was very well done. When I asked Nomvula what she thought, how it went, she thought, no, there wasn't enough continuity. I had pauses where people thought I forgot my words and I didn't make enough eye contact. And I'm sure you'll agree that we can assure that that wasn't the case. It actually was very continuous, it went very well, and your pauses were good, actually. And your eye contact was good. I don't see anyone being left out of the room. So very well done on that. One area I thought that you might want to work on is movement. Now, when you described the drama of your hair going all over the place with the relaxant and your arms and how you performed and how your mother ran up, that was excellent. But for the rest of the speech, I think you can work on the movement because it was a little bit random, if you like. And it was very much on this side of the room. You didn't use the rest of the room at all. To challenge yourself, that's a difficult one, but I thought if you looked at, for example, when you describe conflicting states, for example, you could have described a dog with stiff hair that hurts your hand and how you relax it and gets that nice soft coat, for example. So using conflict like that with your opposites sometimes gets the message across stronger than you actually did. And when you spoke about at the end that you're looking at alternative innovations, maybe give us an example of what other innovations you're looking at executing in the future. But overall, really nice, and I just love that description of when you're 13 years old, you're standing there trying to sell your product and people asked you, well, have you tried it yet? And just that pause was so effective because we all knew, okay, now you're in trouble. So that was very well described. Nice talk. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure to evaluate that. Just an evaluation.
Right, the next evaluation is unique in terms of Clinton's presentation. I actually enjoyed the whole story right from the beginning right to the end. He had a lovely projection of his voice, a sort of calm, relaxing voice. I love the way he sort of got into the chair and then we started to hear the story there. His movements were very good. I think most of us were paying attention to him throughout the whole story. And we were getting curious, were we not, in terms of what part 2 was all about. So I had no problems at all. I congratulate him on a very good speech. The only challenge I had, he needs to enter a competition on this one, which I think he's going to do. Okay, thank you very much. And now I call on Clinton now to give an evaluation on my speech.
Evaluation chair, who also happens to be the person I'm evaluating. Adrian, curiosity, a catalyst for creativity. So your objectives for the speech, Adrian, were motivate your audience, inspire the audience, use stories, anecdotes, and quotes to add drama. And I think it's safe to say that you met all of those objectives. I think that you are so passionate about creativity that it came across in all of the examples that you gave. You had a perfectly structured speech. You started with curiosity killed the cat. You started bringing in examples. You had great storytelling within it. You brought the audience along as you brought various examples into it. Herman Fitz, who was a Nobel Prize winner, is that correct? Is that his name?
Fritz Haber.
Fritz Haber, apologies. And then the stories that you told, I think, was so vividly illustrated. The chlorine gas that entered into the nostrils, the gas that went all over into the Allied troops. We could actually picture ourselves in that position, as horrifying as it was. I think the way you were able to illustrate it brought us along in your story. You had fantastic audience engagement, where you asked the questions to the audience. However, one of the things which we discussed was you asked the question and you moved on quite quickly. So you want to kind of ask the question, wait and acknowledge and see if anyone is actually responding to it before you move on to the next point. Your gestures were fantastic. You were very open. You were definitely very comfortable in front of the audience. I think one of my favorite parts from your speech was that you were so conversational. It was like I was sitting across from you at a table and you were just telling us a story. And I think that is the most important thing when you're actually giving a speech, where it actually doesn't feel like a speech. It feels like you're telling a story to your audience. And that's one of my favorite parts from what you said, from how you delivered it. As I said, I think your curiosity is probably your best. I mean, I don't know you that well, but I feel like we kindred souls, because the fact that you and I are curious individuals, and the fact that you still have that level of curiosity that my 2-year-old kid has is really incredible. And I think it's testament to your outlook on life and your energy and how you actually see the world. I think that's one area or one trait that you never want to lose in your life. And I think you delivered it in a way that inspired us to almost say, well, if he has curiosity, why on earth, why don't we? The only other thing that I would just say to challenge yourself is, because it was such a great speech, have a stronger ending. You know, you want to kind of illustrate the fact that you have spoken about all of these people that have changed the world. So maybe you want to leave us with an end note. You know, these are the people that have driven humanity forward because of the curiosity that they held. Something like that. Thank you.
No. Oh, yes. Oh, Luna, can you come up a bit better? Sorry about that. Of Harold's speech. This is my first.
Mr. General Evaluator and the man of the moment, Harold, thank you for your speech in the foot. What I really enjoyed is you started with in the foot, which was your insert, and you used that thread throughout from the body to the conclusion, up until the point where you gave us an idea about the conversation that you had with your wife, where you said Luke shot himself on the foot and your wife responded that that's terrible. Hence, I found that the structure was perfect. What I also enjoyed was that when you came here, you spoke with such great authority, you spoke with confidence, and you owned the stage. From the time you came in, I wanted to listen to what you were saying because of the confidence that you were showing. The other things which I enjoyed as well, and that I would like to commend you on, is that you were very informed about the subject matter, and as well as the story that you used to describe the communication styles. So it wasn't just theoretical, and I think that's what was emphasized to me, and what actually stated was the story. And then that was a way that I was able to align the communication style with that story, and it's something that will stay with me. Areas or suggestions that I would like to make is, I felt that from the time you started within the foot and then as you continue with your body and conclusion, I found that your voice was monotone. What I would like to suggest is put emphasis maybe from the time that you started speaking about in the foot, emphasize that, and then let it not be the same vocal variety that you use throughout your speech. Other areas of improvement that I would like to say is, when you did a dialogue with your wife where you said Luke shot himself on the foot, maybe a little bit of emphasis, maybe as well as more emotion on that, and as well as when you're speaking to, you're conversing with your wife, when it's your wife who's speaking, maybe change the direction of your body to show that it's the other party that is speaking. Another recommendation that I would also like to make, which would make it a greater speech, is also to put pauses in between your statements. That will give it more impact. But overall, I really enjoyed your speech. You're a great speaker. You have a commanding voice, and you did a great job. Well done, Mr. General Evaluator.
I apologize for my senior moments there, getting things out of order. Can you now sort of look at your ballot slips there and put down who you think is the best evaluator? Oh yeah, can you tell me what the evaluator times? Tambu? Can you just let us know what the times were? They have an impact on people's decisions. I think we were all within times.
My apologies, Adrian. I also had a senior moment. I didn't realize you had already evaluated Clinton. Harold assures me it was 1 minute. Harold's evaluation was 2 minutes 54 seconds. Clinton's evaluation was 3 minutes 26 seconds. And Nomvula was 3 minutes 2 seconds.
Okay, I'm just going to take stage now. Sorry.
Right.
Thanks, Adrian. Adrian, is that the first time you've done the evaluation? Just roll that.
It's the first time I've done the evaluation.
Chair.
Chair and evaluation. So it's a new boy there.
Hey, well done, eh?
So I've learned.
Yes, we always do.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that. Yes. So, I would like to start wrapping up with the different reports. So, I would like to start off with the aisle counter. Is that determined? Please can you give us a report on the aisle counts.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I don't know where to start. I got a lot here. I'm not sure that she's gonna time me there, so because it's gonna be long. Start with Mandy. 1 arm, right at the beginning, when you call in order. 1 arm, 2 light, 3 soul. Herald, President, 2 and then 7 Okay, no, you didn't say anything. Nomvula, good. Dino, yo, I don't know where to start. And so I stopped. And I stopped at 9. So I stopped on 14.
Sorry.
As as 4, but 3, and then 2. Adrian as 1. That is right at the beginning. So hopefully you're not going to come again. During the speeches or the speakers, Nomvula will then got only one end. Harold, and then 1, 1, so 2, like 1 and 4. Clinton did very well. And so 1, but 1 and 2. So without end 1. Adrian, on your speech, as 1 and 8, and then 2, so 2. Valuations, Adrian and 2, Harold and 2, but 1. Nomvula 2, Clint 4, and R1. You did very well at the beginning. I don't know why you're repeating this side. I don't know that in I report on the table topics. But quick, everyone did very well, I think, this one. Ennis, 2 and 1 so. Snare, or snare temper, what they call snare. Because that's what we call snare temper, it's always snare. Okay. As 2, 2, and 1. And, oh, I'm looking for you, I didn't see you. Well done. 0. I don't know I get your name right. Mary. Mary. Yeah, okay. 2. Well done. Ayon, 2. Batlene. Okay. 5 and 2. Clint and 1. Well done. Zap.
Thanks, Bernard. Thanks for that So perfect. Did we do okay? Just wanted to highlight. Okay.
Yeah, we are great team.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, I would like to ask for the grammarian's report. Lisa, thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy to say I did not spot much of the poor usage of English. But when it comes to great English usage, the following people have used interesting words or good sentences in their speeches. Dino, dysfunctionality. Sibahle, mask the snare. Nomvula, embarked on a journey. Bashing, dandruff. Don't trouble until trouble troubles. Clinton, wow. Grades began to suffer. Leap to the unknown. And I liked how you defined Melanie as a refined girl. For the word of the day, Tambu, you said the word once. Enias, once. Just when I thought the word was not being used enough, Harold used the word execute 3 times in one sentence. Which was good. He has the total of 4 execute. Thank you so much.
President leading timekeeper reports, right? Okay. So, any other role players that need to report back on? No. Cool. So, I would like to just to wrap up on my Toastmastering role today. And just to give you a highlight of what I think I showed you today. Hopefully, you kind of picked up what I was saying earlier. So, the first thing is prepare to have a conversation by actually role playing. Practicing never hurt anybody, but it can if you don't practice. Okay? Use the I statement. Make sure that you say the way your actions, I interpret your actions like X. This is how I interpret it, and this is how it's affecting the team. Keeps it relevant. Okay? Use the sandwich approach when addressing bad news.
Sorry, I just want to add to that, if you don't mind.
Cool.
So the I statement, so I agree, because I've also struggled with exactly what you're speaking about. And there's two things you can't dispute when you're having that kind of conversation with individuals. One is how you feel, and the second thing is facts. So if something is factually correct, they can't dispute it. So, yeah, just to add to that.
Thank you. Absolutely. And also don't, make sure be keeping it factual, don't make it the world's ending with this specific problem. Don't exaggerate the issue, keep it very factual. Thanks. Vincent. Use the sandwich approach. Be comfortable with silence. We've seen today that a lot of you we've got some experts in the room on how to emphasize a specific point by just keeping quiet and letting that message sink in. So I compliment the guys for doing that. Thank you very much. And lastly is communicate with grit. Generosity, respectful, integrity, and being truthful. So practice these 5 techniques, and you can easily remember them by just pretend I'm standing here with white tackies, eating a sandwich filled with grit in complete silence. And hopefully when you're in one of those moments, you can picture me eating that gritty sandwich. You can think of one of the techniques you can use to actually tackle that hard conversation. Because you will have, by doing this, your relationships will be more colorful and more deliciously fruitful if you do this. So all you have to do now is just do it. We'd like to yield control back to our president. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nina, for some very inspirational messages there. And a job very well done. One that I hope to see more of our members doing it. Toastmaster. And you would like we did it. Let's give him another hand. I was going to see if I could make you comfortable with silence, but I'm afraid time's running out. We have 2 things left on the agenda. The one is on a point, and the second is prize giving. So let's start with on a point. Would anybody like to say anything? Right, the only thing is you put your hand up before I invite you. I'll let you speak first.
Thank you, very kind of you. There's a couple of things. The club would like us out of here ASAP. They've got a function at 1 o'clock. So we can accommodate them as far as that goes.
Thank you.
And other people to help tidy up. The other thing is the unused voting slips. Can we collect the unused ones? If necessary, pass them on to me and we'll make certain they're available for use again.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Those voting slips and any members, please please, if you can stay and help us to pack up so we can get out earlier. Right, Ines, I see your hand is up. Even if your hand wasn't up, I was going to demand that you say something. Please do.
Right. So it's contest time again, and as members would want as many contestants as we can get from you. You contest in a contest not because you are good, but because you want to learn. This institution allows us to learn. So don't look down upon yourself and say, I'm not good, so I'm not going to contest. When I joined Toastmasters in 2013, up to last year, each and every contest I was participating, and I would come last. But I never gave up. And I never gave up. Because I wanted to learn. It's a learning institution. So participate. Secondly, the area contest will be on the 30th of April. We still have to look for the venue for that. And finally, for the guests, just do it. Sign up today and be part of this great organization. Mr. President.
You came last in every contest. Where did I come in the one that you beat me? Okay. Anything else? Nothing. Right. Let's see. Prizes.
Best caveat.
Table topics. That's the correct one.
Yep. That's our point. Yep.
Yeah, just recognize the handwriting. Today's best table topic speaker. Drum roll, please. Members, we are being shown up because a guest called Cindy Temper actually showing us how to do it. Get a trophy. You get to keep that ribbon. We want the trophy back. For a while, and we get to be photographed. Okay, well done. Best evaluator for today. Drum roll. Once again, our members have to look at themselves because it's a visitor, Clinton. I think you've done this before, walked off with all the prizes in our club. Congratulations. Here we go. Nice. This one is to make the president feel good because he gets to choose who has it. It's called the BBC Toastmaster Genie of the Day, for the person that I consider played the best role, or made a contribution. That's whatever they deserve to get this. And today we were in a bit of trouble because we arrived and we didn't have a table topics master. And someone stood in for it, and we're going to thank her by giving her this award. I can assure you he's not zooming in for me. And our best speaker of the day gets to keep this wonderful trophy for a few minutes before he leaves, or she leaves. And the ribbon is today. Please. You really do walk off the door. There we go.
Thanks so much.
Despite him leaving us hanging like that, you still vote for him.
Come to the meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's meeting. Our next meeting is the competition, 23rd of the month. We look forward to seeing you then. We look forward to seeing lots of participation in that. Thank you for today's meeting. Thank you for coming. I trust you enjoyed it, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Hereby declare the meeting closed.
Actually, that's the way that you guys do the evaluation. Yeah, I really did. I'm coming back next time.
Thank you. Always pushing your opinion onto us, eh?
Well done.